Technology. When I say the word technology, what comes to mind? For most, technology refers to a series of innovations that helped shape the 21st century, and improving an immeasurable amount of lives in the process, be it the transistor, the rocket engine, or even the pacemaker. But with all of its benefits, technology does come with one drastic caveat. It's a long-term jeopardization of our well-being. And in a society where that is filled with technology, it may seem inconceivable to find a solution to this caveat, except for the fact that there is a solution that's found under the rocks in the backwoods, or in the nests of high-perching birds. No, I'm not describing some wonder drug. I'm describing the natural world, the same natural world that is found within our parks and within our gardens, and the same natural world that is bound to reinforce our well-being in a society where technology is becoming ever the more omnipresent. Now, in order to have a more natural understanding of the topic at hand, it's necessary to cover two key points. Firstly, how technology initially jeopardized our well-being, and secondly, how nature can yearn the negative effects brought upon us by technology. Now, in the 21st century full of technology, the grasp of technology is becoming ever the more tighter. And while this grasp does bring about access to a various amount of improvements in various aspects of life, it also brings about a sense of inescapable dependency. And it is through understanding this inescapable dependency that we are able to understand how technology negatively impacts our well-being within the 21st century. Convenience. It's no surprise that us humans are hardwired for convenience. After all, convenience is the basic premise of technology. In other words, technology wasn't developed out of the blue. It was developed as a means of making our lives more convenient. But in spite of making our lives more convenient, the early days of technology still forced many to be self-sufficient. After all, when the first agricultural techniques were brought about, people still had to construct their own homes, prepare and harvest their own food, and defend their estates in the process. But as technology exponentially developed, so the grasp of technology began to tighten on our lives, and we began turning to technology more and more as a means of completing even the simplest of tasks, and becoming more dependent on technology and less self-sufficient as a result. Now, at first, the issue of a decreased self-sufficiency may not seem like that big of an issue, until you consider the fact that decreased self-sufficiency comes with a whole array of predicaments to our mental and physical health within the 21st century. While physical elements associated with technology, such as eyesight strain and a lessened quality of sleep, are prevalent nonetheless, the most pressing predicament of all comes in the form of mental health issues associated with technology. For most, technology has become a sort of safe space where a medium by which people could fulfill the daily tasks of life with relatively minimal human interaction. However, when the inevitable time comes that this safe space is dissolved, many are left in a state of anxiety, confusion, and sometimes even depression. In fact, this issue has become so severe for some that psychologists are beginning to classify this as a sort of withdrawal syndrome before technology. In other words, we're becoming addicted to technology, and we're reaping the negative effects of addiction as a result. The most pressing notion of all, however, comes not in the form of the physical elements associated with technology, but our treatment of the ailments. We've effectively placed ourselves in a positive feedback loop within the 21st century, by which we create a form of technology to improve our well-being, we use that technology, become dependent on that technology, and fall flat on our well-being once more. This positive feedback loop effectively makes it impossible to treat the underlying cause of these ailments, technological dependence. However, in spite of this alarming notion, an idea presents itself, but it's an idea that requires a little bit more of a natural and down-to-earth approach. Be it something as simple as a walk in the park, or as daunting as a hike up a mountain. Time and time again, nature has been shown to produce a wide variety of benefits that, in the long run, could reinforce our well-being within the 21st century and be used to counter the negative effects brought upon us by technology. In the field of psychology, this phenomenon of studying nature's benefits towards the human body and mind has become a respected area of study, producing big producing big experiments and big results in the process. Take, for instance, the experiment of the University of Exeter Medical School. In their experiment, researchers analyzed the mental and physical health data of over 10,000 residents who have claimed to live in or around a green space or some other natural space within their lifetime. In their findings, researchers found that participants reported less mental duress and lessened effects of depression compared to those who didn't live near green spaces. Additionally, participants were also found to have reduced incidency rates of over 15 different diseases, ranging from everything from cardiovascular disease to type 2 diabetes. Now, while these benefits are useful in themselves, their most promising application comes in the form of using them to counter the negative effects of technology. After all, the mind and nature have been evolving alongside each other for the past 200,000 years. So whenever we expose the mind to a natural environment, we're stimulating it with a familiar environment, allowing it to relax and produce an effective treatment to physical ailments in the process. Now, whenever I mention the benefits associated with nature and how they can be used to counter the negative effects of technology, some people take that as a message of unplugging from society and isolating themselves for a prolonged period of time as a means of, quote-unquote, countering the negative effects of technology. But this couldn't be farther from the truth. Whether you spend 5 minutes outdoors or 5 years, the effects are the same. Even if you were to take one thing away from my talk today, it would simply be to unplug and to occasionally go out into the natural world and explore the prolific environment known as nature. However, we can't talk about technology without acknowledging the fact that we owe our lives to technology. Technology is a good thing. In fact, it's a great thing. But like all great things, technology requires moderation and a counter to the negative effects that it produces. And while we can always embrace pharmaceuticals or other solutions, ultimately, it may come down to embracing an endeavor oftentimes deemed radical within itself, an endeavor that requires a more rooted and a more natural approach. Thank you.